We elves try to stick to the four main food groups. Candy, candy canes, candy corns, and syrup.
Who ever heard of a skinny Santa? Eat, eat!
That's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown.
Hey, Santa, what's shaking, man?
Feliz Navidad! Feliz Navidad!
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal! And a Happy New Year!
And welcome to World War G episode 158. I'm Troy.
I'm AJ.
This is actually 158. If you listen to our last couple episodes, I kind of got the numbers mixed up. But this is episode
The real 158.
The real 158, so.
Okay. Do not be deceived
No.
by that other episode.
Don't be confused.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I know, and everybody was losing their minds.
Right?
Or chances are nobody even noticed.
Or they started a petition.
Or they started a petition. A petition to change the numbers.
Yeah.
Get it right.
Yeah. Or just remove it entirely from the whole, thing.
Because that's what you do in 2017. Something makes you uncomfortable, you get rid of it or make it illegal.
Yes.
But we'll get into more that later.
What we're going to be talking about now is a list.
Oh, before we do that,
Yes.
this is our Christmas episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually got you something.
What?
I know you got me.
A water bottle?
No.
Oh.
I know you got me and Colton something last episode. But
Yeah.
I did get you something while I was out and about.
Oh, man.
I hope you don't have this. I know you like Scott Snyder.
Yes.
The
absolutely.
comic book writer. So I figured this was probably going to be right up your alley.
Oh, that is awesome.
American Vampire.
Yes. I've read a couple of different ones that they have. There's like one of 8 of them. This is awesome. This is really great.
Yeah, so I figured what would I not really be into? I figured
Well,
because you're more into like that independent, the indie comic stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm more mainstream, so
Yeah. No, this is fantastic. Well, thank you so very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Probably gonna read it tonight.
You're welcome.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Let's get to this list.
Yes.
There's been a lot of great games and like ones that were really hyped, and then there's also been like a ton of them that have been kind of a letdown and more of a disappointment. And so this is a list of 13 disappointing video games that were released in 2017.
Oh, okay.
As we come to the close of a year,
Yep.
it's nice to look back and to see what was actually
To see
disappointing.
see what the crap was.
Yeah. Okay. The first one, Marvel versus Capcom Infinite.
Oh yeah, that kind of came and went, didn't it?
It really did. And the issue that a lot of these fans had with it is that they didn't release hardly any of the original ones, because what they tried to do is the creators wanted the game to be more accessible to new fans.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they also took out a couple of key things. There's no 3-on-3 battling either. I don't know. Have you ever played any of these ones?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've played quite a few.
Yeah, they didn't even have, I think it would have been cool even if they didn't have them as the initial characters that you play as, perhaps down the road, they introduced like Ryu and some of these other ones.
Yeah.
That they didn't have in there, but to just not have them in there at all.
Yeah, that's odd.
It'd be like having a Mario game without a Peach or a Bowser or a Toad. You're like, okay, I mean, alright. So, that number 1. Number 2, Need for Speed Payback. Need for Speed Payback was not the sequel that players were looking for. Trailers gave the impression that it would be a much desired spiritual successor to 2008's Burnout Paradise, aka the most sickest arcade racing game ever made.
What?
Right? That's what they put in there. However, the high-speed police chases were not very frequent, and the gameplay itself was not all that great.
I don't think I've ever played a Need for Speed game.
I don't really much care for racing games, to be completely honest. I think it's kind of cool how realistic they look, especially when you're playing at first person and you can see all of the controls and you can see you can actually see your character's hands on the steering wheel and like turning the windshield wiper blades, and you can do all sorts of different crazy stuff. But
yeah, like the last video
the Simpsons
game
one, was it?
Hit and Run. I mean, yeah, I did play that, but one I played a whole lot was what was it called? Was it like California Rush or something like that, or
California Speed, maybe?
It was on N64.
Oh wow,
yeah. Me and Joel played that all the time.
I think the last racing one that I played really was Mario Kart, right? Yeah. I mean, it was good, but that's because you can do like so many different other things, and when you get bored of racing other people, you can go to battling each other.
Right.
There's more content to it. Next one, let's see, 3-2-1 Switch. This was supposed to be the Switch's debut to showcase everything that the Switch could do. Unfortunately, it just had little goofy mini games, and that was all. It really didn't have much content to it. And it looked, at least to me, reminded me a lot of like, when the Wii came out, they kind of tried to showcase it by doing the Wii Sports, Wii Fitness, and couple of those games. Right. Similar to that, but just with more mini games, and nobody really bought into it because they wanted, Zelda.
Honestly, I never even heard of it, and I've been following like the Nintendo Switch since it came out, and I never even heard of that game.
It was supposed to be, I don't remember there being any hype around it, or...
No. First time I ever heard about it was right now. So, what does that tell you?
Number 4, NBA Playground. NBA Playground is an arcade-style answer to the more realistic NBA series, but for many players on the Nintendo Switch, it missed the mark. At launch, the Switch version online functions weren't working. They promised to have a fix within a few days. The fix didn't actually arrive for a month.
Oh, wow.
And for a game like that, that's going to take a big blow to your fans.
Yeah, you don't want to have gamers wait. They don't like to wait.
That'd be like having Battlefront without the multiplayer.
Yeah.
So we just keep playing the campaign over and over again. Like, okay, I get with a basketball game, you can kind of, I know that you recently didn't you play the GameCube again and create your own team?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun, but at the same time, you do want to take it online and be able to play against like other people.
Right.
Hone your skills. Number 5 is Star Wars Battlefront 2. This one, I thought you might have a little bit of a beef with it. That's why I actually included it. When I was looking through this list, I'm like, oh, I hope it has. Sure enough.
Right. Well, let me hear what they say, and I'll throw in my 2 cents.
It was, let me restart here. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was married with controversy from the very beginning. As soon as the trial released in September, players were met with paywalls blocked off premium content. This original content turned out, wanting the air quotes, content turned out to be most of the stuff players wanted, like familiar characters and ships. To make matters worse, most editions were only available through loot boxes. So if you wanted a specific piece of content, you had to keep forking over dollars until the luck of the draw, and you were able to get it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of their biggest.
That's what I figured they would say, because that's been everybody's problem. These microtransactions and the loot boxes and stuff. And look, honestly, I can't stand that because they're not letting themselves just enjoy the game. They're so focused on all these other things and getting the specific guns and characters and stuff like that they're not focusing on anything else. It's a fun game, and the campaign is really fun, and you get to go, on the multiplayer, you get to go to the pretty much every planet we've seen in Star Wars so far.
Right.
Plus the crate, the new one that was in The Last Jedi. The one with, the white and the red salt. Yeah. You get to go to there. And then they talk about how it's hard to get characters and stuff. It's really not.
It's pretty relatively easy.
Yeah, like I thought there was more I would have to do to get a character like Darth Vader or the Emperor. Like, no, they're like 15,000 credits. That's not hard to get.
Right.
Just play the game, you'll be fine. But I think a lot of people want like the best stuff so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Give it to me now.
Yeah, that they're just not letting. But I think that's not just a problem in this game. It's kind of a problem with gamers right now.
Well, whatever happened to, like, back with Diablo and some of these other ones, where you'd have to go through the whole entire game before you would actually unlock some of these better items.
Yeah.
You'd have to kill these huge creatures that you could only kill if you're, like, level 99.
Yeah.
And I guess they've kind of forgotten that it does take some grinding and actually perseverance if you actually want to unlock this stuff.
It does. If you want the good stuff, you got to go and you got to work for it. If you go through the campaign, find all the little hidden stuff and all the, that's just what you got to do.
Part of the game.
Anyway.
Well, the part of the whole experience.
Yeah. And I don't have a problem with it. I enjoy that game. I think it's a lot of fun. So
Mass Effect number 6 is Mass Effect Andromeda. Mass Effect, this was supposed to be BioWare's big chance to redeem themselves from Mass Effect, the disappointing ending in Mass Effect 3. However, this one was kind of lackluster as well. There wasn't much content to the story. The main story wasn't all that interesting, and fans, I remember like being so hyped for this one, and then I heard like how long the story was, and that it kind of was more like the video game Prey and some of these other ones that they didn't really delve into the world again. This was a chance to get back into Mass Effect.
Right.
And they just kind of kept it pretty shallow. Number 7, even though on this list it does say Sonic Forces, it's weird because I was reading along, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And then I read where it says Reservoir Dogs Blood Days. Should have worked. So it's the wrong picture that they put in there. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So Reservoir Dogs Blood Days should have been had more success, with similar games like Grand Theft Auto 5 and Tarantino's trademark gratuitous violence. But this one, however, the gameplay, which was based on rewinding time to successfully rob your victims, quickly grew stale for players. It didn't interest them at all. It was just mainly a money grab. Like, that's why they put it under the Reservoir Dogs name. It's just for a money grab.
So I wonder if they would have minded it much if it didn't say Reservoir Dogs, if it was something else.
Yeah, if it was his own standalone game.
Yeah.
But to put it under that name, they've done that a couple of times. They throw it under the big cloud of something that's successful, and then you're like, wait, is that really? I feel like they do that more so with movies than video games, but I don't know. Number 8, Yooka-Laylee. This was supposed to be take us back to our roots of the N64 days, kind of like Banjo-Kazooie. However, this one, and I did play this one, and it was difficult at some points because you're having to jump up to these pillar after pillar after pillar, but the camera angle got stuck on some of the trees and the other stuff that's in the background.
Yeah.
So it reminded me a lot of like Last Guardian. It also struggled with this, is you had to meticulously turn it around and hope for the best, and occasionally I would jump off and then fall off at the very end and have to do it all over again. And then I'd have to okay, so I jumped here, so maybe I'll jump to the right of it. And
sounds tedious.
yeah, it was a fun game, but it had too many glitches and too many issues. Number 9, Ark Survival Evolved. This one I did also play. And because all my friends were talking about how great this was, that it reminded me a lot of Minecraft meets some sort of it's not like Jurassic, it looks like something like Jurassic World, or you can create these big things, but the creatures are just more so kind of secondary. They get in your way, but you can go ahead and tame them if you'd like, and then you can ride them around to explore. It was a huge open box world, which was kind of cool. The only problem that, like, the biggest issue that I had with it is you'd be going along and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot I have to eat. You know, because if you didn't eat, you would starve, and if you didn't drink water, you would also die of dehydration. And then if you didn't have enough clothing on and stay warm, then you could also die that way. And there was just too many other little things that you had to keep doing that bugged me. You know, you'd have to like go cook, kill an animal, cook the meat, start a fire, cook the meat, then eat the meat to stay alive. You know, and then, like, go down to the water so you could get water, and then you can finally pump it to your place. You know, and create indoor plumbing. But,
wow.
Yeah, like, the water was 1.5 miles away, so you actually had to create these bamboo pipes that run the whole length all the way back to your fort, wherever it was. Because if you wanted to have your fort at, like, a cool place on top of a hill, then you'd have to pump plumbing, and occasionally you'd have to build up a little tower to get up to there, and then build it up further, and then you could destroy the tower to use those supplies for something else. And it's just like, geez, this is painstakingly difficult.
Almost too realistic.
Like, I don't go to play video games to work like that.
Oh, I forgot that my character has to go to the bathroom. Now he's all backed up.
Oh, actually, they would just randomly, you'd hear that poop sound too.
Really?
As you're walking along, you just hear I'm not even joking. I'm not even shitting you. Ah. Yeah, it was.
All right.
It was that crazy. This one I do have to disagree with, but number 10, Rhyme. It looked gorgeous, but they said there wasn't much content to it, and it was reminiscent of Miyazaki. And I thought it was, like, once you actually get into it and further along and get your companion that helps you at certain areas, I thought it was a fantastic game. It was pretty short and relatively easy. But it was kind of dark at the same time, because there was these parts where these creatures they're like shadow-looking creatures that if you don't have a light with you, they surround you and they can kill you. So then you have to utilize the stuff close by and jump up. I don't know. Maybe it was that I was playing it at like 3 a.m, but like it was pretty gnarly. I enjoyed it.
A lot of things become better at 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Number 11, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series. For the most part, they've done an excellent job with The Walking Dead, Fable, Minecraft. I would even throw in Wolf Among Us. That was like one of their originals.
And Batman, right?
Right, and Batman.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Batman ones are fantastic as well. Like, because it really makes you weigh the choices out, and you want to, like, especially when you're playing as Batman, and you want to be, you're playing as Bruce Wayne, and you want to be diplomatic when it comes to these decisions, but the Falcones are kind of like pushing in on you and trying to get you to side with them. And then you want to appease Two-Face, but at the same time, he's also doing, he's Two-Face.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Harvey Dent, he turns bad, so you're kind of skeptical about helping him and going that direction. And they're a lot of fun. However, Guardians of the Galaxy, with very bad voiceover acting and not much content. Plus, the game, they were saying that it seems like it would have been okay in 2006, like 12 years ago.
Oh, man.
But now, that's not quite the case. They expect like a higher caliber of game.
Right.
Speaking of which, number 12, Friday the 13th, the game. Now, I downloaded this because it was free for some time, like for a week, you got to try it. And I would completely agree with this game. It was kind of cool. You had to try to hide around, so one person played as the killer, and then there was a couple other players that were trying to run away. And if you got caught by the killer, you could still get released, because he would hook you up on like a meat cleaver hook, and then you could have another character run over and like release you off of that.
Like Jason did.
Yeah. Yeah.
He never did. He never hung anybody up on meat.
No.
That was Leatherface.
Mm-hmm. And they had a couple other different characters that you could like get later on, like this Banshee and this Witch. And their site, I did get to play as them, and their site is really limited. But as soon as you hear any they start rustling, if they run, you can hear them better and you can like chase after them. However, they can dodge and weave, and they're a little bit faster than you.
A Banshee and a Witch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They started
All right.
adding in, implementing. The thing that it ran into is this was a crowdfunded game. So it wasn't completely like thought out. I mean, it'd be kind of like fun for a little bit, like to play with your friends, but as to actually launch it for, like, people couldn't find matches for like hours, and they'd just kind of like be waiting in the lobby, waiting for it to finally load. You'd get like 3 people that would join, and then one person would leave, and then you had to wait like 10 more minutes until finally somebody else would join, and it was just kind of...
Hey, the way to do a Friday the 13th game is you play as Jason.
Yeah.
And you go around and you kill teenagers.
Yeah.
That would be great. It's like you're at Camp Crystal Lake, and it's like a first-person view, and you have to go find the teenager. You have to be quiet so they don't hear you come in, and
stealthily take them out, like methodically take them out. But it's like sniping. You know, when you got those sniper games where you have to take the ones out from the corners first, and the ones that are
so
like,
they don't raise the alarm or anything.
Yeah.
Same thing, except you're running machetes through pretty teens. It'd be great.
We're gonna do a crowdfunded game.
Find
now,
a couple of them upstairs. They're having sex. You can run them through and
shish kebab them.
Shish kebab them.
Yeah. And you have to have like witty puns to go with it.
Mm-hmm. That'd be great.
Number 13, Middle Earth: Shadow of War. Middle Earth: Shadow of Shadow of War. And then it goes, Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor was a top contender for many Game of the Years in 2014, but when this one, Shadow of War, came out, they were expecting more, because they had 3 years to kind of work on this project and to hone it out, and it's a lot of the same. It's very similar. It's like the same game, different creatures that you take and battle against.
Yeah.
And it's not all that fun. So there you have it.
All right. Do you remember the first time you were disappointed by a video game? Because I do, and it is vivid.
I think it was for the GameCube, and I want to say it was Luigi's Mansion.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, most people like that game.
Really?
I'm surprised, yeah.
Yeah, it was all right. I was just kind of a little disappointed with it. What about for yourself?
Superman 64.
Well, that's an easy one. That's
but that was the first time I ever played a video game where I was like, this is garbage. I wanted to like it.
Yeah.
And
you wanted so badly to like it.
Yeah. No. And I played it quite a bit. I rented it and I played it like the whole rental period, but it's like,
it didn't make any sense.
No,
it's
didn't.
Like, Metropolis is in danger. Go through all these rings quicker than Lex Luthor can get you. And you just kind of fly around. It's like, destroy these 2 tanks. And pick them up and throw them. Rescue this person.
And I wanted to like it. I'm like, no! I was like tricking myself, telling lies to myself. Like, no, it's fun. Really, it is. Like, no, it's not.
If you haven't, go YouTube that game.
Yes.
There is so many playthroughs of it, and it'll seriously make you laugh. Like, Superman is... Seriously, it's like he's got to stick up his butt as he's flying around.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. It's disheartening for, like, Superman fans.
It is. We haven't really got a good Superman game, but... Okay. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we got some news and stuff for you. So, isn't that exciting? We'll be back right after this. On the historic streets of Ogden, there are 2 kinds of people, readers and non-readers. Here's where you can find their stories.
Booked on 25th Street, located at 147 Historic 25th Street, Ogden, Utah, 84401.
Yeah, stop by and say hi to our friend Marcy. You can pick up a new or used book, or you can sell your own used books.
That's right, you can get 10% store credit on what they can sell the book for.
Stop in and say hi, or call them at 801-529-7720. You can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/bookedon25th, or you can email them at marcy@bookedon25th.com, or visit their website, bookedon25th.com.
Be sure to tell them that World War G sent you. Now back to the episode.
we're back. All right. So we talked about Star Wars at length.
Yes.
Last,
dedicated a whole episode to it.
Last couple episodes. Well, we know that after episode 9 we don't know, but we've heard that the Skywalker whole story is going to end.
Right.
That all those characters and everything, that's going to stop.
Well, you've already killed off Harrison Ford, and Luke Skywalker has become one with the Force, and Princess Leia's.
Spoilers if you haven't listened to our last episode.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I know what you mean.
Princess Leia. Well, Carrie Fisher's gone, so it makes sense that they'd try to move on from that. That's why they're trying to introduce these new characters and get them to be household names.
Mm-hmm. But a news source says that with this new series of movies coming, that there will be no crossover characters from the old movies. Most fans remain focused on Star Wars The Last Jedi, but writer-director Rian Johnson is nevertheless peppered with questions by journalists who hope to uncover the first substantial details about the recently announced new trilogy. Although the filmmaker continues to hold the cards close to the vest, he seems to now hint that audiences shouldn't count on seeing familiar characters in the new movies. Here's what he said. My entire pitch to Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy and Disney was, quote, let's tell a new Star Wars story, he explained to Wired. Let's tell one story over 3 movies where we go to new places and meet new people. It's a brand new story and it feels like a great Star Wars story, he says. However, fans hoping for a bit more information in the new Star Wars chapter shouldn't expect much else anytime soon, mainly because Johnson doesn't have it. That was the extent of it, he said. I didn't pitch an idea or a time or anything like that. It was just bright blue sky to tell a new story in. And they were excited about it. Honestly, I've been the rigmarole of releasing the movie. So I'm just starting to form clusters of ideas for the trilogy. But really, the most exciting thing right now is the potential of it. That potential seems to point towards something wholly separate from the current series. Under his direction, the new trilogy could easily avoid any reference to past films. When asked if it's possible there would be no crossover characters, Johnson responded with a succinct "Yep." And although that might seem like the scariest blank slate around, to some, The Last Jedi director says exactly why he's so excited about it.
So are they going to keep the Star Wars name, though?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which is really hilarious. They want to keep some of the aspects of it. We were just talking about this with Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
That they want to keep some of it to draw the fans in, but then they want to go a completely different direction, which I guess, that'd be alright, right?
Well, and I was going to say, they did that in the
Star Trek?
This new Star Wars cartoon, Star Wars Rebels, but no, there's familiar people in that one.
Right. And it stays true to the entire canon.
Yeah. So to introduce like new characters and stuff, that's a big gamble.
That is.
Especially with the heat that he's getting on this new movie. It's...
That's a big risk to take. They might actually give him death threats.
Yeah.
Speaking of this new movie, fans file petition for The Last Jedi to be removed from Star Wars canon. Right? Star Wars The Last Jedi made over $200 million in its opening weekend and earned a out-of-this-world review of 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
But it's a terrible movie. Yeah, shut up.
Right? But look to the right and the tomato meter, you'll see an audience only gave it 56% approval rating.
It's not my Star Wars!
The lowest of any Star Wars film ever. Despite how much the critics loved it, some fans really, 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 really do not.
I noticed you threw in a few more reallys there.
I might have. embellished just a little bit. Really, I did. The disappointment is so grave that one even started up an official petition on change.org. The Last Jedi to be blotted out of the Star Wars canon altogether. Episode 8 this is what he went on to say, Episode 8 was a travesty. It completely destroyed the legacy of Luke Skywalker and the Jedi. It destroyed the very reason most of us, as fans, like Star Wars. The petition would most likely took issue with Luke Skywalker's darker character arc. Reads, "This can be fixed. Just as you wiped out 30 years of stories, you can also wipe out one more, The Last Jedi. Remove it from the canon. Push back Episode 9, remake Episode 8 properly, and redeem Luke Skywalker's legacy, integrity, and character." The petition then effectively gets down on two knees and begs for Skywalker to be redeemed. We struck. No, just kidding.
Oh, you're acting. Wow. Get a performance.
We stuck by you when you did things that hurt us before. We asked you now, please don't let this film stand. Don't do this to us. Don't take something that so many of us love so much and destroy it. Let us keep our heroes. This is all a little extra, and it's kind of funny because it's already got over 1,000 signatures, which it only needs 1,500 is required for it to be formally delivered to the Walt Disney Company.
And you know what the Walt Disney Company is going to do with it? Toss it in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Think they're going to look at it and go, "Oh, I think they're right."
There is 1,500 people that think this movie's bad.
Yeah.
I think I'll take my millions. And
this movie at this point has made almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
You think that they're going to take a dumb little petition like this and just wipe that movie clean?
Mm-hmm.
No!
Right, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can't stand it. I hate these petitions that keep popping up. I hate them.
And there's more and more of them. They had a petition recently to change the time slot of a TV show because they're like, hey, we like watching this one and then we want to watch that Lucifer one on another channel. Yeah. But now you put it in the same time slot, so we can't do that.
There was a petition for The Walking Dead with the break between season 6 and 7. They wanted to know who Negan killed. And they petitioned the creators to tell them who Negan killed. I mean,
we implore you, please tell us who dies.
I hate it. I hate this feeling of entitlement that people have nowadays because of social media. If The Last Jedi would have come out, say, in 1995, and if people had problems with it, you go, yeah, you know what, it was fine. I had a couple of issues with it. And they just would have gone about their day.
Yeah.
You know, they wouldn't have hopped online and found other groups that hated it, that just fed that fire. And it just
exacerbates these problems and it gives everybody a voice.
What do they think is going to happen? Do they honestly think that any amount of signatures are going to change the minds of these corporations?
I'm all in favor of the little guy taking a stand, and I do believe that it can, in some regards, affect change. You know, it was by small little things but I'm talking more with government or with parks and with, you know what I mean? With these type of things that actually affect our planet or the direction our country's going or some of these bigger things. But when they're doing a petition to find out who dies, really,
that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the fact that it gets traction and notice and people share stories about it.
And we're even talking about it.
And we're talking about it now. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, then I go back to the government thing. I can understand doing petitions when it comes to the government.
Right.
Because the government, by law, has to address petitions if they get a certain amount of signatures.
Right. Well, plus, okay, you have
By law.
you have congressmen and other steps, that those guys listen to it, and then they're like, hey, this is a good idea. They take it before bigger people, and it kind of goes about that way, rather than them going directly to Walt Disney, like studios.
Yeah.
Directly.
Yeah, government petitions can affect change. It is possible. But these big media companies, they don't care.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, people that write
Spoiler
these petitions.
alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. They don't care about you. They care that you went and saw that movie and put more money into their pockets.
Right.
They've already won. If you saw that movie, they won. You lost.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wow, you're going all Willy Wonka.
If you lose, you get nothing. Good day, sir. No, but it's true though.
It is.
I mean, the only way that you're going to affect any sort of change if it comes to a movie or television show, don't watch.
Yeah.
That is the only way.
Yeah.
I mean, if they got all those millions of people all of a sudden that didn't watch and it made no money, then that is the only time they would go and re-look at that and go, okay, well, let's recalculate and let's do something else here.
And you might be thinking, okay, well, it's a lot easier to do with TV shows because they get canceled all the time, Like, viewership is, great, and then it kind of tapers off, and then it just, stops entirely, and they decide to cancel it and not, renew it for another season.
Yeah.
The same can be said about Star Wars. They're going to make, tons of more movies. We just talked about them making more movies. If you didn't like that one, don't go see the next one, and perhaps you can affect change that way.
Yeah, that is the only way. These petitions do not work.
No.
When it comes to movie and television, they do not work. Stop making them.
Yeah. I still haven't seen Firefly, and if that's not back, then I know petitions don't work. That's what crushed me. When you said, what was the first disappointing video game that you remember?
Yeah.
This first disappointing moment in television. Yeah.
Firefly.
Yeah.
Well, I actually found a story about that petition that popped up in my feed. Creator of petition to remove Last Jedi from canon backtracks his support.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And as soon as my computer lets me read it... Okay, here we go. The man behind the petition to erase Star Wars... Hang on. The Last Jedi... Sorry. 1 second. Here we go. Okay. The man behind the petition to erase Star Wars The Last Jedi from the canon has recanted his petition, stating that the attention should go to much worthier causes. Henry Walsh, the creator of the Change.org petition, Have Disney Strike Star Wars Episode 8 from the official canon, wrote an update in which he states the amount of attention his petition has received doesn't sit well with him. This is what he said. While supporting this petition is important, and I, too, have a deep love for Star Wars, I recommend we maybe send this in a new direction, he wrote. There are tons of people and causes who need help, and we are here for Star Wars. Walsh said that he created this petition because he was, quote, was upset and, quote, on strong pain medication.
Oh, jeez.
From a vehicle accident last December, and his injuries now require his use of a wheelchair. Walsh brought up his injuries to discuss how uneven the response has been to this petition, while his call for help with his surgery bills went largely unnoticed. So, this tells me a few things. One, take a moment before you send a comment or petition or something. Take a couple days to think about it.
Right.
Because I guarantee you, when you go to bed that night and wake up, you will not be as mad as you were right then.
Yeah.
Second, it tells me...
moment, kind of a deal.
Second, it tells me where our attention lies as a general populace.
Or our priorities.
Our priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy, he needs help with surgery and stuff and actually real world problems.
Yeah.
and that gets no attention, but yet this all of a sudden is spread everywhere on the internet.
This kind of, like, not gonna lie, it kind of bugs me, because then it almost seems like he's asking, because I know exactly what's gonna happen. These guys are gonna be like, oh, we really feel sympathetic for you, we'll pay for your surgeries.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think maybe he's kind of...
He got some hush money.
Kind of slipping that in there, like, oh, by the way, you know,
It's like that undercover. It's like the Undercover Boss TV show. I watched like 1 or 2 episodes, and every single time the person would be like, "Yeah, you know, having a really tough time. Can't pay bills. Can't buy Christmas for my children this year." Oh, wait, what? You're the boss of the company? I had no idea. What? Yeah. And then he's just like, I would like to reward your efforts and pay for your children to have a Christmas. You, boy, go fetch the largest turkey. Right?
Go get that giant goose in the window.
The one that's in the window. Yes, that one.
We're taking it to Tiny Tim's house.
It just seems a little fake, and he shoehorned that in. You know, that he's got real world problems.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and I went the other way with it. I thought, you know, he saw how much attention that got, and he thought, well, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. You know, where are people's priorities here? Like, okay, not to bring the podcast down here, but when my father-in-law was killed a year ago,
yeah,
it got a little bit of media attention, and that was about it. You get a cat, an animal that gets abused. It's everywhere. There's billboards. There's, you know, there's people with you know, pictures on their windshield, you know, like this horrible, horrific tragedy. It's like, yeah, I get it, but human lives and lives of animals, like, let's gain our priorities here. Yeah. You know?
That's true. That's true.
So, I mean, it's, yeah.
It does seem like people need to get their priorities straight, and he perhaps had a reality check, you know, when he went to use the restroom and realized he couldn't.
I mean, that's just my feeling. I maybe there was, like you were saying, maybe there was a little more to it, but well, I like to think the best of people.
oh, okay, me over here, you know. Everybody's horrible. I hate everybody. Speaking of one thing I don't hate, though, I don't hate The Office.
Who does?
Right? And reported by NBC says that network plans on reviving The Office with a target premiere date in late 2018. According to the reports from TV Line, NBC is set to revive The Office for the 2018-2019 TV season. The report says that the revival would be a mixture of old and new cast members set in the familiar Dunder Mifflin office in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Dunder Mifflin.
Right?
Scranton. Funny words are funny. Sorry, it's from Family Guy. Just reminded me of that.
While there were no details given about which familiar cast members would be involved, you can probably guess. And so I thought we'd kind of take a second to kind of talk about that and to make our picks.
About who might be coming back?
Yeah, I feel like Michael Scott or Steve Carell, because he left the series before it finished up because he wanted to pursue other things, you know, movies, bigger projects.
Right.
That he felt like it'd run its course, and The Office was never the same after him leaving.
Nope.
Right? I don't feel like he would return back.
I don't think the big ones will return. Steve Carell, Rainn Wilson, John Krasinski, Jenna Fisher.
You don't think like Dwight, Jim, or Pam or those guys? No,
I don't think they'll be back. They're all busy doing other things. I mean, Rainn Wilson, you know, apart from doing movies, he's on Star Trek Discovery now. John Krasinski's freaking blowing up.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's everywhere.
He is.
He's got new movies coming out.
That was after him doing 13 Hours, right? Or
Yeah.
no, he did that one, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's done 13 Hours. He has this new movie coming out that looks really interesting.
That does. Where it's completely silent.
Completely silent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unnerving.
I thought that looked great.
That trailer just alone, looked pretty sweet.
And then Jenna Fisher, I haven't heard much from her. I mean,
Beasley. What the heck?
I mean, you can't have Jim without Pam, right? I mean,
exactly.
So
PB&J.
Exactly.
I do actually feel like they could talk, because I know Rainn Wilson, he's done some more independent movies,
right?
And with Elijah Wood, and then he's also, like you said, doing some TV stuff. I actually think that would be kind of cool if they were to bring him back. I could also see them. I don't know. Kevin, he's pretty much. Well, no, Kevin they could bring back. Stanley, he's retired. He's probably that.
Yeah.
He's gone. What do you think about Phyllis or Angela?
Yeah. Phyllis, Angela,
Oscar.
What
about Toby?
You could bring Toby back.
He's doing nothing.
Yeah, he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Uh,
Kelly, Creed, Daryl.
Kelly, no. Mindy Kaling's doing a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Daryl. Who plays Daryl? He's doing a lot of other things.
What about those
too.
interns that they had?
Yeah, you could bring those guys back. Came back kind of late in the.
You'd seriously have to have at least one of the big four. I think you'd have to have at least one of the big four come back to make it worth people's time. If you couldn't get Rainn Wilson on board, I don't know how well it would work.
Yeah. Me neither. The writing and the overall show would have to be really, really good if you're not going to get any of those big stars back.
Right.
I mean, they could do guest spots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, make an appearance.
Yeah. Or even, here's something interesting, get a couple people from the UK office.
Oh, yeah.
The original one, have them over there.
That would be kind of cool. A crossover.
Yeah, kind of a little
Well, you
crossover.
did see, of
course, most of those guys are really busy now, too.
Yeah. With Downton Abbey.
No, what's his name? Martin, he was Bilbo Baggins. He's in the MCU now. He's Watson on Sherlock. Benedict Cumberbatch. So yeah, he's a little busy, so you're not getting him, but
you could bring a few of those guys. Maybe do a crossover and enough mid-range celebrities that could pull it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but you're not gonna see the big ones.
Is this even a TV show that you'd want to see brought back? It's been gaining some traction as of late.
Yeah, The Office.
Yeah,
it's everywhere all of a sudden, which is really strange.
And we were talking about this before the episode. That you're like, wait, did it just drop on Netflix? It's like, no, it's been there for a while. And I actually, after talking with some friends, did go back and watch the whole series again. And it was because there were so many episodes that I'd kind of forgotten. Because it's one of those TV shows that you can kind of binge watch, and if you fall asleep during one or two episodes, you can still continue on. You know, they've got their own standalone stories.
Yeah. I'd give it. I'd at least give it 2 or 3 episodes.
Okay.
Well,
they did with the first season. It was only 6 episodes long. Yeah. So give it 6. We'll see if it can do anything with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be really hard to top that
the original.
Really hard.
But. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck. All right, let's take another break, and then when we come back, we got stuff and things and some other stuff. So, doesn't that sound exciting?
You are really selling it this week. Oh man!
No, we got Ghostbusters and Wonder Woman and X-Men.
Okay, there you have it.
Now I got a reason to come back.
After the messaging, we'll be right back.
Are you feeling nostalgic about your music listening needs?
Do you like the tonal quality, that only a record can provide.
Then go check out Lavender Vinyl, located at 123 25th Street, Ogden, Utah.
Yeah, go talk to Kylie or Blake. They have a large selection of new and used records. They will also buy your old records, maybe the ones that are just sitting up there in the attic, gathering dust. And if you can't find anything, they'll be more than happy to pre-order it for you. Now, you can always find them at lavendervinyl@gmail.com. You can also check out their website, lavendervinyl.com, or give them a call on the phone, like a normal person, at 385-240-0336.
Be sure to tell them that World War G sent you. Now back to the episode.
And we're back. Glad you decided to join us again.
Thank you. Thank you very much for staying with us.
All right. So, at this point, pretty much the only comic books I read, at least on a regular basis, are the ones from IDW.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically Ninja Turtles, because I think I don't know, they're just good. I like.
They're solid comics.
Yeah. Well, one of the ones that IDW does is Ghostbusters. And there's going to be an 8-issue IDW crossover series called Ghostbusters Crossing Over. The crossover event will see the Ghostbusters lose control of an interdimensional portal that has allowed them to communicate with spirits and Ghostbusters in alternate dimensions. If they want to contain the breach, they're going to need the help of the Ghostbusters, every last one of them. The Ghostbusters Crossing Over creative team consists of Eric Burnham, Dan Schoening, and Luis Antonio Delgado. The trio have a long history with the Ghostbusters franchise. Burnham began writing Ghostbusters comics back in 2011. He was joined the same year by artists Schoening and Delgado. The story has something for everyone who has ever loved an iteration of the Ghostbusters. The prime team from the original movies, there. The real Ghostbusters, present. The extreme team, accounted for. Not to mention the characters from the video games, the 2016 movie, and the originals we've created for the comics. If you don't like one character, don't worry, we have others. Bunches of others. And Burnham isn't exaggerating. The Ghostbusters franchise exploded after the movie's release in 1984. The animated series The Real Ghostbusters came shortly after, reuniting the core team with the addition of a more domesticated Slimer, and lasted until 1991. In 1997, Extreme Ghostbusters brought a new generation of afterlife investigators to the fold. The animated series saw Egon Spengler training a diverse team of new Ghostbusters after a resurgence of supernatural activity makes it apparent the team is needed again. The most recent Ghostbusters reboot came in 2016, though several comic book series and video games populated the intervening years. The biggest challenges from an artistic point of view,
I think, at least for me, I'm thinking one of the biggest challenges that they're going to face is trying to get these people to care about these other characters.
Yeah,
you know,
they're working on a lot of nostalgia here,
right?
Especially getting the ones from the old animated series and stuff like that. It'll be interesting, and I think I'll definitely check it out, but. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason I like, these IDW comics, because they do stuff like this.
Right.
They do Green Lantern crossing over with Star Trek. Or they'll do Ninja Turtles
would actually
crossing
work
over
really well.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Or Ninja Turtles crossing over with Batman. Both of which they've done. And so
Ninjas,
yeah.
Makes perfect sense. They both fight under cover of night.
Yeah, so I like that they're doing stuff like that. So yeah, I'll check them out. I'm actually go buy them, pick them up.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that'll be pretty interesting. So you might have noticed something if you went and seen Justice League compared to Wonder Woman. And you might have noticed something different about the Amazonian costumes from the uber successful Wonder Woman movie. Just a little bit, differing from Zack Snyder's interpretation. Basically, Patty Jenkins' version of Amazon Warriors differs vastly from Zack Snyder. And then, I don't know if you got a chance to check this out, but one of the girls that played in both movies, she kind of posted her Wonder Woman one and then her Zack Snyder costume.
Yeah.
And that's not really they differ because Zack Snyder's is more skimpy. Let's see. While other pointed out that the skimpy training costume for the Amazon rocked in Wonder Woman, actress Samantha Joe, who portrayed Amazon warrior Abuya, released a statement on Twitter defending Snyder and his choice in costume design. According to her experiences working with Snyder and in consideration of the film's source material, she doesn't believe that Snyder is sexualizing women with the costumes. She went on to say, I think that the Amazons should be free to wear as much or as little clothing as each individual wants, and this was reflected in the versions of armor that the tailored to each other individually. I think that the sexualization happens largely in the intent of the creator. In this case, I've heard Zack Snyder and Michael Wilson's name being thrown about. I have never, really uppercase here, I have never felt more empowered than I have on Zack Snyder's set. I have never once been told to stand in a pretty way or perform something with more skin or feminine movements. I have been most appreciative for the strong stances and posture in fighting. I have also felt not just comfortable, but confident in what I was wearing and how it was being represented. And it does kind of make sense with some of these costume designs, because she goes on to talk about how it was cumbersome, and even when you would turn your stomach, it would kind of get pinched on the wardrobe, because it would be difficult. It's like a one piece compared to a two piece. There's just more mobility, and that's what she kind of goes on to say.
Yeah.
And as long as they didn't go about it, I mean, I don't know. There's two sides to it, but what do you think?
Here's my thing. I didn't even notice or realize the change.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't. I mean, when they showed, they did side by side.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah,
it's
well, there's
apparent.
a definite change. I didn't even notice. I didn't even focus on that.
Right.
I mean, as a straight male, I didn't even focus on that. I focus on how they're like, wow, they are really good warriors. I mean, these Amazons are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I was focusing on. I wasn't focusing on, ooh, I can see your stomach. Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think sometimes people tend to make bigger deals out of things that the people actually did the things weren't even thinking about.
Right.
I
mean, I'm sure there was, I know we'd like to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm sure there was some, hey, this is this would work better, but also it is skinnier.
It is a little more attractive.
More attractive.
Yeah.
I'm sure they thought about that.
I'm sure they did.
And then they tried to defend it by saying they didn't. But at the same time, I haven't yet to hear anything about Zack Snyder being thrown under the bus like some of these other celebrities, that he knows the boundaries and what he can do and what he shouldn't do.
Yeah, apparently in just what you're reading there, these women have nothing but glowing praise for Zack Snyder.
So yeah, there you have it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from a character perspective, like the characters in the film, like, look, they're freaking Amazons. They can wear whatever the heck they want to.
It's an island of all women.
Yeah. It's an island. It's probably gets kind of warm,
Yeah.
skimp it up a bit? Okay. So we talked last episode, well, actually 2 episodes ago, that Fox was bought by Disney.
Right.
And so people are wondering about what does this mean for the future of the MCU? What does that mean for, bringing in the X-Men and
I like
Fantastic
how
Four?
they have so many other properties and stuff, but we as geeks want to know about the X-Men.
Yeah. When are we getting Wolverine in there?
Oh, yeah.
At least every Marvel fan's dream is coming to pass. The X-Men are joining the MCU. Disney has purchased the bulk of Fox's film and television empire, and as a result, is gaining the film and TV rights to Marvel's Merry Mutants. Disney CEO Bob Iger has already confirmed that he plans to see the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and even Deadpool become part of the MCU. But when can we expect this to happen, and how is it possible?
We at least want a timeline.
Yeah. It's worth remembering that Disney's purchase of Fox will have to go through various regulatory channels. The problems aren't actually related to superheroes. Rather, there are concerns that Disney could be gaining too much power in terms of sports programming. Another key issue is that the purchase gives Disney a controlling stake in Hulu, leading to further antitrust challenges. Finally, the Justice Department has traditionally been wary of so-called horizontal mergers that see direct competitors combine. In reality, Disney and Fox wouldn't have progressed to this stage if they didn't think the deal had a solid chance of being approved. The House of Mouse is expected to argue that the Fox purchase is necessary given the changing internet industry. Technology companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Netflix are simply becoming too powerful, and Disney needs a certain degree of scale in order to compete. This process is clearly going to take time. That means Fox is...
I do. I mean, those are huge powerhouses, but I do like how Disney is just like, we're just one of the little guys.
Yeah. Like, we're just trying to keep up.
We need to survive in this changing industry. I'm like...
As like $100 bills are falling out of his pockets.
I do get what they're saying, and it is a lot easier rather than reinventing the wheel to just purchase something and use what they've already established. Rather than coming up with your own, being like, oh wait, what works, what doesn't work? Okay, yeah, we're gonna do something similar to this. Why not just take what they've already got in place?
Yeah. In reality, Disney and Fox wouldn't have progressed it. Oh wait, I already read that. Sorry. The process is clearly going to take time. That means Fox's 2018 X-Men films will at least still release on schedule. Meanwhile, Marvel is currently filming Avengers 4 and is soon to start production on 2019's Captain Marvel and the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel. Any changes to Marvel's slate will happen in 2020 at the earliest, giving Marvel at least 2 years to prepare.
Okay. That does make sense because they're still figuring out the legalities of everything. And
right.
They're having to go through, jump through a lot of hoops. It's difficult because they weren't even sure that they were going to acquire this deal, that this deal was going to actually happen.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to already be like, that's counting your chickens before they're hatched.
Right.
You wouldn't really want to go, oh yeah, we want to do this with this one, then we could see like maybe a crossover here. Yeah, you can speculate just like all fans can speculate, but as far as wanting to put it in action and put it in writing that this is what we're going to do, that might be getting ahead of yourself.
And you gotta trust the MCU, you gotta trust the creatives at Marvel. They know what they're doing.
Right.
And so they know that up to a certain point, they can't change anything. But I'm sure they've already got a big wall covered with pins and stuff saying we could fit the X-Men in right here. This would be a perfect spot. And chances are it's not going to be for another 4 or 5 years. And realistically.
Do you really think that they're going to have to break with the mold a little bit? Or is adding the X-Men enough of a change that people are going to still buy into the universe for like years to come?
Oh, I think it'll give it a boost.
I do feel like you can't keep using that cookie cutter mold though that they have been using, with like you've got Doctor Strange and Guardians of the Galaxy one that are kind of like pretty similar. You've got kind of a I don't know. I feel like you'd have to kind of mix it up a little bit somehow.
And I think that's why, this merger couldn't come at a better time with the X-Men and Fantastic Four, because now you got all these characters to all of a sudden play with.
Right.
All these
like
villains.
Kids in a candy shop.
Yeah.
Kind of a deal. All
these villains, all these secondary characters that you can just start throwing in everywhere. And that just increased the number of years that you can put out movies by 10 to 20 more years.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. I mean, you can get 3 more solo Wolverine films. You can get 3 X-Men films. You can get 3 Fantastic Four films.
A couple more crossovers.
Yeah.
You
can get Avengers versus X-Men movie out of this. I mean, it's... Yeah.
The possibilities. As long as it's in the right hands and going forward, I think it'll be great. And Marvel, like the MCU, is pretty dang good.
Yeah. So, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
It will be kind of cool, because I did like seeing... you'd see that poster where it'd show like, hey, we've got Hulk, we've got this, we got Black Panther, we got this movie coming out. Just so you could kind of see what direction they were going with it. It was kind of cool. I'd like to see something like that, but I imagine it's not going to be for a couple of years.
No. All right, let's take our final break, and we come back. Now we're talking Christmas.
Yes.
Since
with it only being a few episodes or a few days away.
Well, as we record this.
Yeah.
But as you guys are listening to it, it should be Christmas. Or Christmas Eve. We're coming to you from the past.
Rewatch all the episodes. Listen to all the episodes.
We'll be back right after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Thanks, Troy. Hi, everybody. This is Sean Ray.
And John Irons.
And we're the hosts of Cosmic Potato, the Super Fan Talk podcast. We're a show that has a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we talk about movies and TV and cartoons, entertainment news, and every show has a different theme.
That's right. We might discuss anything from our favorite bad movies to who would win in a fight between C-3PO and the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that was episode 41, a classic. You can download that episode and all of our other episodes on iTunes and Stitcher. We're on Podcast Addict and, of course, on our website, cosmicpotato.com.
It's special guests and movie news and geeky nerddom and nerdy geekery and lightsabers and Time Lords and Ninja Turtles all the way down. So check out Cosmic Potato, the Super Fan Talk podcast.
Well, that's kind of cool. I don't think that's throwback.
Oh, yeah. It's like old 80s Superman.
Right?
Anyway.
Oh, I jokingly came up with, when we were doing our epic rap battle, I jokingly came up with a couple of different lines for, like, if I was rapping against, you and, like, Superman.
Yeah.
Did I tell you this?
You might have. I don't remember.
It was just like, I am the Man of Steel. The only way he's getting up is if he uses a pill. The S stands for dope. He's afraid of a stone. That he needs to go home. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Sit back to it here. And we're back. All right.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, Troy.
Yeah, well, not really.
Yeah, okay.
There's no really snow on the ground, and
there's just like a feeling of bleak coldness in the air.
Yeah, it's very cold.
Yeah.
Kind of depressing, actually.
Man, you're really trying to bring us down here, huh?
Hey, Christmas! Merry Christmas, everybody. Yeah. So because it is our Christmas episode, we thought that we would run through our favorite things of Christmas, basically. Our favorite Christmas things.
Yeah.
That pretty much has to do with video games and comic books and TVs and movies.
Yeah.
All Christmas centered.
The only problem is when I was like thinking about this, I'm like, is there a video game that's Christmas based, and I really couldn't think of. Man, that's a market that they're missing out on.
Arkham City
Yeah.
is the only one I could come up with. Now, I Googled it, and there is quite a few, but...
Indie, small.
Yeah, or like ones that were like back on the NES or Super NES or nothing, yeah.
I think that we need to have like a Weird Al kind of Christmas Santa going postal, taking out everybody, eating reindeer.
Yeah.
I think it would be pretty funny and pretty awesome. As long as you went kind of like a Sam and Max kind of vibe to it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, not so much with the video games after we got to thinking about it, but
comic books.
We do have comic books. I made it write down. I wrote down 3.
I've got 3 as well.
All right.
Well, one of the ones that like I really liked, and I've talked about it before, is this Claus.
Right. Yeah.
It's reminiscent of a. Well, it kind of reminds me of like a Viking take on Santa Claus, and the art is phenomenal in it. But it was only like 6 or so episodes that they kind of did standalone indie. But it's as if Claus kind of had a darker past, and before he actually went all good and jolly and cheerful, he, took a road less traveled.
Right.
If I say any more, it'll kind of start giving away stuff, but it's pretty gnarly. It's pretty cool.
All right. One of the ones I really like, I actually have this comic book somewhere. It's Justice League of America number 60. This came out in 2002. Here's a synopsis. Plastic Man, while trying to put Woozy's nephew to bed, makes up a story about Santa Claus being in the JLA. He fails to make any impression until they both look out the window and see Santa riding in the snow with his heat vision. It turns out to be Martian Manhunter playing a practical joke with Green Lantern. It's a story where basically Santa Claus helps the Justice League take on the devil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I do, like I said, I do have it. But it's kind of fun to... Because in the Marvel Universe, Santa is a real person.
Right.
He's the most powerful mutant on Earth, according to Professor X. So it's always kind of fun to see Santa Claus in that kind of situation, because you never think that he has, superpowers, but he does.
If you really break it down, I mean, he's able to shoot up a chimney when he taps his nose. Right? He
moves at super speed, lightning speed. He's got to have, if not really strong, like super strength, pretty powerful.
Yeah, to be able to like lift all those toys.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. You can go check it out if you want, but yeah.
Speaking of Santa Claus, the next one I'd like to talk about, and I actually did watch the first episode in the miniseries. This one's by Morrison, Happy.
Right.
And I've talked about it before, where this kind of former cop goes all assassin and rogue and stuff, but Santa Claus starts stealing all these little children, and then he has to go, and Happy's trying to convince him to go find them and to bring them back, and he eventually does. Because I've already talked about the comic book, with the TV show, I can see why some people were kind of turned off by it, but it's a pretty close adaptation. They take a few liberties with it and go a little bit different because they have to lengthen it, so you have to add extra content into it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, it does start off really bizarre and kind of artsy looking, because he shoots himself, not really in here, but they just show him with blood, Sweeney Todd style, flying around him, and then they kind of go backtrack. So I see why some critics are not so hyped about it, but it's got an awesome cast and I don't know. I've enjoyed the first episode. There's 2 more that they're going to do.
So is the entire comic book based around Christmas? Or
it is like on Christmas when it takes place, or a couple of days beforehand. So yeah, like he's always going through the snow, and then it's kind of funny because Happy's still trying to convince him. And he's like, "Hey, if you can find one good soul, around this time," and people are yelling at each other and fighting and being like, "Oh, we have to travel during the holidays. What the hell?"
Right.
And then it starts depressing Happy to where he disappears for a while, and it's so awesome because I don't know, it's just great. But yeah, Santa's the bad guy in this.
All right. Speaking of taking a different different take on Santa Claus, the Lobo Paramilitary Christmas Special. Now, if you guys don't know who Lobo is, go check him out. He's kind of DC's answer to Deadpool.
Yeah.
Kind of a self-aware, he's immortal, and foul mouth, that sort of thing. Here is the synopsis for this. Lobo and Dog arrive at a drinking establishment to meet with a client. The client turns out to be a highly inebriated Easter bunny who wants to put a contract hit out on Santa Claus for his perpetual upstaging of lesser holiday icons. Lobo joyously agrees to take the job and departs to the North Pole. He bursts into Santa's workshop, guns blazing, and begins massacring the elves. Some of the elves attempt to fight back against the, quote, naughtiest one, but they are only armed with pop guns. After turning the workshop into a bloody tableau, Lobo makes his way to the throne room of Chris Crusher Kringle.
Oh, jeez.
Santa is not the jolly, smiling old man personified in the traditions, however. He is actually a merciless taskmaster armed with razor-sharp shivs and accompanied by a gorilla companion named Kong.
This is getting better and better.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Have you had a chance to read it?
I read it at one point, yes. It's been a long time, but I read it at one point and it stuck with me like my whole life. Because it's weird and it's absurd, and much like your Claus comic there, I like when they take Santa Claus and kind of make him a different type of a character.
Right.
Kind of take liberties with the character. And
is there a different direction that you'd still like to see Santa Claus go? Because it's easy to portray him as kind of a villain or as evil, right? Just the exact opposite of what he is.
Yeah.
This jolly, jovial guy that's just now gone all crazy.
I don't know. I can't really... I don't know. I mean, maybe if you did something that he was kind of updated, his... I
think it would be kind of interesting to see him evil, but him as a kind of a kingpin, and he gets all the other holiday creatures on his side to take back the holidays.
Huh.
I don't know.
All right. Kind of reteach people maybe what the holidays are about, or...
Yeah.
Because people have kind of taken them and
they've forgotten and they've
mutilated them.
Well, yeah, so then they start going after corporations for what they've done. Hallmark first.
Yeah.
And then FM 100.
I like it. And they should get Tim Burton to direct that movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm all in favor of that. Speaking of movies, Christmas movies. Any ones that really stick with you and resonate? Or I guess we're going TV first, right?
Yeah.
So TV shows, Christmas specials that have kind of resonated with you over the years?
Yes. There is one, as I was thinking about this, there's one that immediately sprung to mind, and it's an episode of Justice League. And it is called... give me 1 second here. It is called Comfort and Joy. It's the 47th episode of Justice League, and it's the only standalone episode in the series. It originally aired on December 13th, 2003. So here's the plot. On an alien planet, the Justice League works together to assemble a machine that will prevent it from colliding with another planet, thus saving its population. Their mission is a success, and the League looks forward to the Christmas season, except perhaps J'onn J'onzz and Hawkgirl, who are unfamiliar with Earth's holidays. So, it kind of breaks into 3 storylines. You have Hawkgirl and Green Lantern's storyline, Flash's storyline, and they're fine. But the one I want to talk about is Superman and J'onn J'onzz's storyline.
All right.
Clark Kent insists that J'onn accompany him home for the holidays. His parents, Jonathan and Martha Kent, welcome J'onn, but he still feels slightly uncomfortable. He takes a walk on the streets of Smallville on Christmas Eve, impressed by the cheerful friendliness of the passers-by, telepathically hearing a little girl question the existence of Santa Claus. J'onn flies up and lands on her roof, reaching down the chimney to eat the cookies she left out. His final stop is a church where inside people are singing characters. Characters? Carols. Don't know where I said characters. That was weird. Conclusion. Humanite returns to jail. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Clark awakes on Christmas Day and listens with his parents as J'onn, who has reverted to his normal Martian form, sings a hauntingly beautiful song in his native language while caressing Streaky, the cat. It's a really good, touching episode.
Yeah.
Particularly that plot line. The other ones are fine, but that one actually kind of, last time I watched it, it made me tear up.
Like, everything lately has been making you tear up.
I know.
Like all these movies.
I can't help it. Like it just happens.
Yeah. Coco, Wonder.
Yeah. I know. What can I say?
Even Star Wars.
I got a soft spot.
One of the ones that like really stuck out to me, and we already were talking about it earlier. Well, we were talking about The Office earlier. Is the one episode where Dwight kind of gives everybody a Dutch themed Christmas, and he dresses up as like this creepy, really reminiscent of Krampus, like in German culture, and starts hitting everybody, and then like the food's all crazy bizarre, like from their normal, which it throws everybody else off because it's like normally you go with cake and cookies, and then he wants to go with like this meat log, and yeah, he's kind of really upset with Jim because Jim's actually taking off to work at a new company, and like leaving him behind. But the whole entire episode just made me laugh, and there's so many different TV episodes that everybody, for the most part, there's very few TV shows that won't venture down the holiday. You know, they'll have a holiday themed episode or two,
right?
Halloween, Christmas, and it's weird because not all of them are iconic. They're somewhat memorable, you know, like there was the one with like Psych and a few others, but for the most part, there's very few ones that really stick out. But another one that we were talking about, it's got to be Seinfeld, Festivus.
Yeah, that's one of the ones on my list. It's just classic. And the interesting thing about this is that is one of the only, if not only, episode of Seinfeld that was based around a holiday.
Yeah, they really didn't, go down that way.
No, never.
Any other holidays, yeah.
And, it's become kind of a cultural phenomenon, Festivus. So much so that people actually celebrate it.
Yeah.
It's become a real thing. But yeah, every line in that, is classic. A Festivus for the rest of us. Now it's time for the airing of grievances. Have a lot of problems with you people. I'm going to tell you about it.
I love it how it's just an opportunity for him to vent.
Yeah.
And they all have to listen there and take it.
The feats of strength. It's just the Festivus pole. It's just it's so good. In a show that is utterly rewatchable, that is one of the most rewatchable episodes of the series. It's just genius. It's brilliant.
Any other ones that really come to mind for you?
Yes. Community. They always did kind of weird episodes, but the one that was really fun was the Christmas episode that they did where they were all claymation. I don't remember a lot of the episode, but I don't believe it was CG. I think they actually went in
the claymation,
made these figures and actually did it old school stop motion animation. And
that must have been an episode in the works for years.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it took a long time.
Right, especially for a TV show that's not typically... Well, no, I think that they actually went more... There's been some TV shows where they've done clay animation that you can tell is kind of cartoony clay. That's what I believe they did, because there's no way that they could spend like 4 or 5 years.
No. And... yeah, I mean, maybe there was a little bit of CG. I don't know. But I think if you did like a half-hour thing, you did claymation, I don't think it would take years. I think maybe 6 months or so.
Okay. Yeah.
If you had a dedicated team on it, but...
Right. All working on different sections and parts. And
yeah. So that's the TV shows I had. I mean... I was thinking of TV shows that I watched a lot, like Friends, Frasier.
Frasier did have some Christmas episodes.
Yeah, he did. And a few others, but there was nothing that really stuck out. Like, there was no classic episode.
Right.
Classic Christmas episode in any of those. So. Simpsons, yeah, same thing. Nothing really sprung to mind. But yeah. Okay. So let's move on to then Christmas movies.
Yes.
Now these are movies that may or may not be our favorite Christmas movies, but they're movies that we tend to watch every single year.
One of those movies right off the get-go for myself, White Christmas.
Sure. Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
Danny Kaye. Classic.
My family, we have a tradition each year that we called it a tree treat night, where we'd all pick out our favorite treat, and then we'd decorate the Christmas tree, and then watch White Christmas. And then eventually, after doing that for so many years, we had to mix it up and start watching Scrooge.
Sure.
Which is just because you had to go back and forth, but it was like primarily just a musical Christmas movie that we'd watch again and again and again.
Sounds fun.
Which is great.
One of the ones I have on here is Home Alone.
Okay.
Not the greatest movie. It hasn't aged that well. But it's still a classic. Last year it was at one of the theaters here, and I watched it on the big screen. And it's just fun. And, it gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling inside,
Especially with the little dove scene, right?
That's in Home Alone 2.
What?
Yeah,
the
turtle
yeah,
doves,
right.
yeah.
I don't know. They all mix together.
Yeah. But the first Home Alone, I mean, it's just a classic Christmas movie. And there's something familiar and comfortable about it.
It's like comfort food.
It is.
But for your brain.
And it's a movie I've seen so many times because my mom will get on this kick, or used to when I was still living with my mom, where as soon as like December 1st hit, she would put in a Christmas movie and watch it all month long.
Seriously? Just one?
Every single night, yeah.
Wow.
And Home Alone was one of those. So
speaking of which, it was really funny. Netflix on Twitter recently called out some people for watching the same movie.
I saw that, yeah.
over and over again.
They were trolling people.
Yeah, that was fantastic. If you're not really in the Christmas mood and you want kind of more of a darker movie. This one actually just came out this year. Have you seen Better Watch Out? Or have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
They even do a Home Alone scene where the kid's sitting. There's a kid that gets locked up in a chair, and the other kid throws a paint bucket off the bridge. And he's like, "Did you just go all Home Alone on him?"
Wow.
But it's brutal. It's not for the faint of heart. It's more like Krampus.
Okay.
Yeah, but those two, I also really, I don't know. Whenever I'm feeling kind of Christmassy, but want something different, and I don't know, I go with those.
All right. Another one I have on my list is The Santa Claus.
Oh yeah,
with Tim Allen. Yep. I remember seeing this film in theaters, and this is another one that
went straight to VHS.
No. It was in theaters for quite some time. It was a hit.
Yeah,
it was a big success, and
making like $50 million.
Wow. In 1994 money, that was big.
Right, yeah.
No, but like Home Alone, it hasn't aged, again, particularly well.
Right.
The effects really aren't that good. But they don't stray too much into the absurdity of the whole thing, where they tend to do in the sequels.
Right.
This one, it's a lot more grounded.
It's kind of about a kid that doesn't believe, and his dad kind of steps in, and
it really takes some interesting looks at the Santa Claus mythos.
Right.
How you kill
one, you get a new one.
And get a new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really interesting, clever take.
That's how it passes the torch.
That's how it passes on. So yeah, and I've watched it countless times, and I still find myself thoroughly enjoying that film.
Yeah, that one that they did later on, where it's got Mr. Freeze, or Jack Frost.
Jack Frost, yeah, and they just went so ridiculous with the sequels.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how they kept Tim Allen on board.
Money. Big old dump truck full of money.
A sleigh full of money?
Yep.
Yeah. The two other last ones that I've got are Elf, and then also Ernest Saves Christmas.
Ernest Saves Christmas! Oh, I forgot about that one.
Oh, I love it. And it's so funny is because my mom actually used to work for Eastern Airlines.
Yeah.
So when she saw Eastern Airlines and the reindeer walking all over, funniest part. My favorite part is still with those two little elves in the back seat screaming as he's almost gonna hit the ground.
Yeah.
And
my favorite part, it gets me every time, is when Ernest is dressed up as the snake guy.
Yes.
Yes, and Santa Claus in the back pretending to be snakes and everything. And just that voice that he does, and he's freaking out that security guard. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. And I always sing now with "Oh Christmas Tree." I just sing "Oh Christmas Tree" over and over and over again because of that movie. God, I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah.
Can't believe I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
And then the other two I have is Muppet Christmas Carol.
Okay.
Which freaked me out as a little kid. It genuinely scared me.
When he opens up his chest and you see all those creatures inside of it?
Not even that.
Really?
It was Statler and Waldorf as ghosts appearing to Scrooge.
Really?
That's what freaked me out. I don't know why. I couldn't watch it. But yeah, I mean, classic Muppet movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yes. I actually put that in my movie collection. I put that in the musicals.
That makes sense. But there's a lot of debate. Is it a Halloween movie? Is it a Christmas movie? Why not both? Why can't it be both?
Exactly. They do actually, in Disneyland, decorate the Haunted Mansion in Nightmare Before Christmas stuff and leave it up from Halloween to Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, what can
They've
you say?
embraced it.
Yeah, what can you say about Nightmare Before Christmas? Hasn't already been said. I mean, it's great, and it's creepy and kind of macabre, but it's a lot of fun.
It is.
Kidnapping Mr. Santa Claus and all that stuff. I mean,
the Oogie
good times.
Boogie Man.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. I actually did have Krampus on the list.
Oh, really?
The one that came out just a few years ago.
Uh-huh. That
But-
one reminds me of like Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Just watched
But
it
I've
last
only
week.
I've only ever seen it once, and I watched it in the theater. So
Okay, I didn't. I loved it up until the very end, and then once you actually see the creature, he looks kind of cheesy. They did a great job of just being like campy horror. Plus, it reminds me so much of not Vegas Vacation, Christmas Vacation meets Christmas Vacation meets some sort of a horror movie.
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, the little demonic gingerbread men.
Oh, and the other creature that's like a musical toy. That's eating them like a slug.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting. If you've never seen that movie, go check it out. It's interesting, and I actually like the Krampus myth. I think that's kind of cool.
It is.
Dragging little kids down to hell, or
if they're
straight
bad.
up eating them.
Okay, all German cult like fables are horrible things.
Yeah.
They're not pleasant at all. You're like, oh, you don't eat your vegetables. The creepy looking like werewolf will gnaw your face off.
No, I think Cinderella comes from there. Snow White comes from there. And the real versions of those are freaking creepy and disturbing.
Where the other sisters are cutting their feet to try to get it to fit in the shoe.
Like cutting their toes off and stuff so they can... Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Then Cinderella sends down birds to, like, peck out their eyes, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah, alright. Well, here's hoping that you've all had a wonderful Christmas.
Yes.
Hopefully you got to spend some time with your family, and or if you didn't want to spend time with your family, you didn't, and just
did your own thing.
And that's fine too. You know, we're not here to judge, to each his own. And we'll get into it a bit more in the next episode, but appreciate you guys, sticking with us through this another year. We've just passed on Podbean 9,000 downloads.
Wow.
And that's not counting, iTunes and YouTube and all that other places that we're at. So, yeah. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. So from all of us here at World War G, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Yep.
Yeah.
And here's where you can find us. You can listen to all of our episodes at worldwarg.podbean.com. You can find us on iTunes and the Google Play Store. Just search World War G. On the social medias, you can find us at facebook.com/World War G podcast. We're also on Twitter and Instagram. Just search at WWG podcast. Give us a follow and a like. You can also find our t-shirts and all of our other merchandise designed by Colton at shop.spreadshirt.com/World War G. You can also email us anytime,
day or night,
at worldwgpodcast@gmail.com. So, this has been World War G episode 158. That has been AJ.
That has been Troy.
Stay geeky, my friends, and hey you over there. Yeah, you. Have a Merry Christmas.